Life update. So the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Toare, has gone to CAF and of course FIFA to petition CAF and then ask for answers from CAF why Burkina Faso was dropped for the World Cup playoff and Nigeria, of course, went through ahead of them. Now, a lot of you have been, of course, questioning how Nigeria, who undoubtedly somehow shouldn't be in that playoff, magically join the playoff. People like me has called it miraculous and all that. But coming to look at it, if you're thinking it was injustice to other African countries, yeah, you might be right. But then we have to go back to the basics to see how Nigeria got there. It wasn't politics. It wasn't. It wasn't even natural. It's like sheer luck and miracle. I will tell you. Now, if you look at the teams that are supposed to qualify for the playoff, we just needed just 4 teams for the playoff. So Africa had like 7 or more groups, and then Africa had 9 groups. Out of the 9 groups, you only needed 4 from 9 to qualify for the playoffs. And if you see this chart, you see Gabon had 25 points, DR Congo had 22 points, Burkina Faso has 21 points, Cameroon has 19 points, Madagascar has 19 points, Uganda had 18 points, Nigeria 7th had 17 points, Namibia 15, Niger Republic 15. Let that sink in. Now, even Burkina Faso was ahead of Cameroon. Burkina Faso was even ahead of Madagascar. We are ahead of Uganda. But still, Burkina Faso couldn't make it. On the natural scale of things, Burkina Faso should be 3rd on that list, even ahead of Cameroon. But then there was a rule before the qualifiers even started. So rules, they say, are meant to be broken, right? But not in this regard. The rules have been made before the qualifiers started, and the rule were simple. If any team or some team drop off of the qualifiers, all the other groups that had their teams complete. So in each qualifier, we had 5 teams. So if you had one team who dropped off during the qualifier in any team at all, it means that team will be having just 4 teams. So CAF said, if that happens, every other team in the other teams that has 5 groups or 5 teams, every point they got from the team that finished bottom of the table, that is the weakest team, every point they got will be chopped off. That's what CAF said. Any point you get from the team on the bottom of the table will be chopped off. Do not forget, the team that lost a team, which I think Eritrea or which country withdrew, so they already have 4, so none of them got points from Eritrea. So based on that, then I said, okay, every other team that is contesting for the 2nd position should also get a point from those at the bottom of their table. That's where this whole game started. Now, if you look at this, Gabon played all their matches, got 25 points, DR Congo 22, Burkina Faso 21, Cameroon 19, Madagascar 19, Uganda 18, Nigeria 17. So you look at all of that, and then you start subtracting marks. Now, Nigerian Super Eagles were so stupid enough that even the weakest team in their group, Nigeria could not pick up even 4 points. Yes, you will listen to that again. Why other people in other groups were able to trash people who are the weakest teams in their group, picking maximum of 6 points or at least 4 points. Nigeria got to the weakest team in our group, which I think was Zimbabwe, and Nigeria could not pick up even 3 points. Nigeria only managed 2 draws, home and away draw against Zimbabwe. And guess what? That was our safety. But if Nigeria had gone ahead to win any of those games and picked up at least 3 points instead of 2 points, Nigeria would have actually qualified ahead of South Africa and even Benin in this qualification. So somehow, what will have been our good news is also bad news of sorts. Because if Nigeria had beaten Zimbabwe home and away, like every other person was trashing them, of course, Nigeria would have gotten 6 points added to the 17 points they already have, or added to 15 points they would have had. And Nigeria would have topped the group ahead of South Africa, who had 18 points. Nigeria had finished on 17 points with plus 7 goal difference. South Africa finished on 18 points with plus 6 goals difference. So if we scored more goals against Zimbabwe, we would have even had like plus 10 goals difference. So that's the problem. But now, Ibrahim Toure, the Burkina Faso president, has gone to petition CAF asking for answers on why Burkina Faso were dropped for Nigeria, then of course Cameroon to emerge as the FIFA playoff representative for Africa. which is a valid question, but then it's already a done deal. I see a lot of people making videos saying Nigeria is in soup, their playoff position might be dropped and all that. It's never going to happen because this is a rule. The rule was made before the game, and many Nigerians, including myself, were not even aware of the rule until we started pressing calculator. Yes, those days of calculator pressing, that's when we actually knew all the nitty-gritty of what CAF ruled regarding the World Cup qualifier were. And when Nigerians were happy that they scored 4 goals against Benin Republic in Uyo a few days ago, that was what was in their mind. That was what their calculations were. So, so football is not just being played in the pitch. Aside doing the politics behind it, you also need to calculate and tactically, gracefully and miraculously, because nobody expected Nigeria to be able to score 4 goals against Benin Republic that even beat Nigeria in Benin. So yeah, Nigeria pulled that up and Nigeria won. But then, by Ibrahim Toare petitioning CAF, asking questions, like I said, is already dead on arrival. There is nothing that can be said about that. These teams were dropped points they got from the teams on their table, on their group that had the least points. They were dropped every point they got from those teams, and that of course gave them the upper hand to either proceed to the playoff or not proceed. So for like Burkina Faso that got 6 points from whoever was listed their team, we removed 6 points from their 21 points. Of course, it meant they had lesser points than Nigeria had, and of course maybe lesser goal difference as well. So that's what transpired. But I will also say that this rule should have also affected every team before you call for the team that have qualified. For example, any team that is topping the group, you should also drop them the points they got from the listing, because if that was done in the case of my team, my group in Nigeria group, of course Nigeria would have topped the group, because South Africa got maximum point from Zimbabwe, then they got maximum point from them as well. So if you dub 6 points from these teams, when you dub 2 points from Nigeria of course will top the group and Nigeria will go through. And I believe if that is also done to other groups, the leaders of those groups will also change. But why this rule now might affect or work from negative or positive for Nigeria or not, that's not really my headache. My issue should be, this should not be the best way to justify our qualifying team. This is not the best thing to do. If there are other ways that this could be done in the days to come or times to come, at least, yeah, it should be done. If you make the victory and the points average, so for those that played 4 teams or 3 teams in that had 4 people in their group, you average it by the number, average their points by the number of games they played and goals they scored. Same thing, those that played 5 games, average their points from the number of games they played and number of goals they scored. And at the end of the day, see who tops based on how many games they played, and then give them the opportunity. But making this unnecessary deduction for me in football doesn't really make sense, and I don't buy into it. Whether or not it favors Nigeria, of course played itself into all this shit, and at the same time, I hope they make the best use of the playoffs. Thank you. Like, share, comment, and of course follow VP here always for soccer. And the weekend is already here. Of course, you'll be hearing more and seeing more from us. Bye now.